Another candidate who's running statewide. Does anybody think we ought to have a Republican U.S. Senator? Yeah. We tend to forget, back in the 90s, we had Peter Fitzgerald as our U.S. Senator. We had Mark Kirk as our U.S. Senator in 2000. We can elect a Republican. And God knows we need to beat Dick Durbin, right, in this election. So we have a great candidate to do that. Mark Curran, and I know this, I spent 10 years as a state and federal prosecutor. Mark Curran has an unbelievable background as an elected sheriff, as a prosecutor, as somebody that understands the rule of law. He's smart, he's articulate, and he's running as our candidate for U.S. Senate. He came down here, he lives up in Lake County, came down here. He won a tough primary back in March to have the opportunity to run against Dick Durbin. But you couldn't ask for somebody that's more polar opposite than Dick Durbin than Mark Curran. Stands for all the values that we believe in as conservatives. Pro-life, pro-Second Amendment, pro-rule of law. And that will send shockwaves to the U.S. Senate when we beat Dick Durbin. So again, Esther talked about what we need to do, and let me just reiterate this. Between now and November 3rd, 85 days, get involved. Put up a yard sign, go door to door, get on social media, write a check, write an extra check to one of these candidates. Because we want to wake up on November 3rd and have Esther Joy King as our next Congresswoman, and Mark Curran is our new U.S. Senator. Please give a warm Tazwell welcome, Mark Curran.
Thank you. Great Congressman Darin LaHood. Anyways, as Darin said, I was a former county, state, and federal prosecutor. I come from up in Lake County, Illinois. And 3 boys, 22, 21, and 16. And I have worked with the sheriffs down here. You got great ones. Jeff Lauer is out there somewhere. Awesome guy. Great sheriff, y'all. Very smart. And I worked a lot with your former sheriff, Bob Houston, as well, and Mike McCoy, former sheriff next door. And I want to take you back to when I got in this race initially. One of the people I called, and just to pick advice, not for any other reason, it was Darin LaHood. And I had an opportunity to run for judge, and I was being recruited for that, and I was being recruited to run for state representative. And I talked to Darin about that race and what have you, and then I decided to get in this race for the U.S. Senate. I didn't know exactly. It just felt right. And for those of us that believe, prayer, we're trying to discern, trying to figure out what it is our Lord wants us to do personally, that we can best serve Him and best serve each other, that we can best love Him and best love each other. So I had intuition that was telling me this is the race to get in, but I didn't know exactly why. And I went through the primary, and it was a rough primary, and got lied about and what have you, and that's politics, what have you. I'm not going to lie to you. This race is not under people's radar screen as a race that's going to happen. But I got news for you. Just wait. So it's been starting to line up. Back when I announced, America wasn't up in flames. They weren't kicking out windows of shops all through the major cities in America. They weren't throwing Molotov cocktails and destroying a business that belonged to somebody else who put their life savings into it. They weren't, killing people and police officers and what have you all over this country. None of that was going on. But it is now. And we're seeing what's happening. Essentially, the only people that can get arrested are conservatives. That's about it. You're a pastor, we're going to arrest you. You're a business guy, and you didn't ask that person to put a mask on, we're going to charge you with a misdemeanor. So that's it. Those are the only crimes that essentially matter right now with the left in charge in Illinois. And so it's starting to make sense why I was supposed to get in this race. I'm a sheriff. I was the longest serving sheriff in Lake County history. And there's another guy in the race as well, Willie Wilson, black guy, good guy, but he's not pro-life. He runs as an independent Democrat. He's running on reparations towards black. And quite frankly, Dick Durbin's done nothing for blacks. So Willie Wilson's going to steal from Dick Durbin. So now the race is looking a lot more interesting. I was down in East St. Louis last weekend, and that's where Dick Durbin grew up. And we drove through East St. Louis, and I'll tell you, one business after another went up in flames 10, 20 years ago, and they all look the same today. The structure is still standing, one after another after another. You go through the housing projects, and all the windows are kicked out one after another. There's actually people living in them. You can't find a place like East St. Louis virtually anywhere in the world. It is absolutely unbelievable. It breaks your heart. As a human being, to think that other human beings are living in those conditions, it breaks your heart. But think about having grown up there, having gone to school there, having been formed by the teachers of that community. You went to Assumption High School in East St. Louis, and to have neglected it, you become a big shot. You become the #2 Democrat in the United States Senate. You've been in that position for all those years, and you've done nothing for your hometown. You let them live in that squalor, and you ignore it. So the guy I'm running against, I pray for his conversion. I pray for a lot of things for him, but quite frankly, he's not a good guy. Last week, Paul Schimpf, when I was down there, who ran for Attorney General against Lisa Madigan, who was pro-life, Paul Schimpf put on a fundraiser for me down there. And Paul Schimpf was in the state Senate, and he gave up his state Senate position because he was asked to put in for a federal judgeship. And the White House said it looked great, and he was going to be a federal judge. And you know what happened? He found out that Dick Durbin said, "We're not calling your name Paul Schimpf because you're pro-life." How dare. Unbelievable. Paul Schimpf was a decorated Marine that prosecuted Saddam Hussein, who is a graduate from the Naval Academy, who has a distinguished law career, and who wanted to be a federal judge, and Dick Durbin said no. Is that? So I'm not good because I'm Mark Curran. I'm good because I'm willing to die to self and to live for our Lord. And I'm going against evil, truly evil. I'm sorry. He has embraced every evil on the face of the earth. He started out, as Darren said, as a pro-Second Amendment, pro-life Democrat. But as God became power, and as the party moved to the left, he moved right with it, to the left. And now he embraces any evil there is. Infanticide, no problem with that. Defund the police, no problem with that. He is a really bad guy, and that's who I'm running against. And it's starting to get really interesting with Willie Wilson dinging him on the radio all the time right now. And he's doing a lot of my work. So what I would say to you folks is, this is a race, like Darren said. And I absolutely believe that we have a really good chance as well. So what I would ask, similar to what Esther said, go to electcurran.com. If you can contribute, that's great. I'm not going to have Dick Durbin's money. I may not, but the Lord will be glorified that much more when the national reporters talk about what's in my FEC. So go to electcurran.com if you can, that's great. I'll take the prayers every day. So, that's the beauty of being a Republican. I was once a Democrat. At a Republican rally, you can always ask people to pray, and they will. So let's get out there. Let's do it. And I'm like Darren. I'm right there with Donald Trump. And ultimately, there's some crazy things going on. There is a silent majority that supports the blue, supports the police, has had enough of J.B. Pritzker, has had enough of Mike Madigan, has had enough of all of the evil that's trying to destroy the state. So thank you, Mark Curran, for U.S. Senate. God bless.
Thank you, Mark Curran.